soldiers marched through the forest. It was then announced that they would take a break and stop to rest. The soldiers stopped to get their rest. Bongan sat down and said that this was killing him. He started to wonder why he had volunteered for this and why his armor was so heavy. He thought that at this rate, he wouldn't be able to show off his skills properly. One of the soldiers then called him over. The soldier gave him another bag to carry. Bongan wondered what kind of situation this was now because the man had just doubled his load. The soldier told him that he needed him to carry it because he now had to carry the palanquin. As Bongan was about to ask him something, the man interrupted and told him to just take care of it. They started to march again, and Bongan observed that the escort squad was a mess. Some rode comfortably in the palanquin while others carried all the baggage and walked. He then wondered who exactly could be riding in that thing, in that creepy black palanquin. As Bongan struggled with the load, one of the other soldiers asked him if he was okay, noting that he was carrying quite a bit of gear. Bongan said he was alright. Apart from feeling like he was going to die from the weight, he recognized the man as the same one he had seen on the roof the previous night. Bongan called the man sir, but the soldier told him to just call him by his name, as he was just a soldier too. The soldier told him sorry about yesterday. The man introduced himself as Hongu and Bongan introduced himself as well. Hongu said they should get along well from now on and welcomed him to the Crow Squad. As they walked, Hongu asked Bongan why he had resorted to stealing, mentioning that he could have been killed on the spot if he were caught. Bongan replied that there was something he needed to find. This prompted a flashback to the government office, where we see the tiger hunter warrior questioning Bongan about a necklace. The governor didn't seem to know about it, so the warrior asked Bongan directly. Bongan asked if he had to tell him, and the tiger hunter warrior said he would decide whether to give him the necklace based on his answer. Bongan called him petty for that, then explained that the necklace belonged to his master. The tiger hunter warrior asked if that was the one who taught him the mask dance. Bongan remained silent. The tiger hunter then asked if the necklace was a piece of a mask and mentioned that he had heard Bongan possessed many pieces. Bongan revealed that it was probably a map. He then said he had a question for the tiger hunter warrior as well. He wanted to know what the blue flame he saw last night was. The tiger hunter warrior just stared at him blankly. We now switch back to the present, where Bongan asked what kind of person the tiger hunter warrior was. Hongu identified him as Sir Yongap, describing him as blunt but very skilled with a sword and much stronger than the other soldiers. He reassured Bongan that Sir Yongap was not a bad person and that he shouldn't worry too much. Bongan then remarked that if Sir Yongap was such a good person, why did he alone ride a horse? It seemed petty to him. Hongu explained that riding a horse could sometimes make one a target for tigers, and that the tiger hunter squad mainly traveled on foot, borrowing horses from the nearest station in urgent situations. However, for Sir Yongap, it couldn't be helped. Unlike ordinary soldiers, the tiger hunter warrior sometimes became vulnerable. Bongan wondered if someone like Sir Yongap could truly be vulnerable and asked if he was just making excuses to ride alone. Hongu told him that he didn't think so and that if there was one thing he was sure of, it was that Sir Yongap was serious about hunting tigers, and said that sometimes being too serious was scary. Hongu mentioned that he had heard Sir Yongap was after a specific tiger. Bongan was surprised to hear this. Hongu continued, explaining that Sir Yongap wouldn't say why, but the tiger was called the Four Winds Black Tiger. It was the same tiger that had appeared in the palace 10 years ago. This shocked Bongan, and he wondered why Sir Yongap would be after that tiger. A crow then landed on Bongan's head. As he locked eyes with it, the crow took a shit on his head and flew away. Bongan got angry and said he was going to skewer and roast it. The crow then seemed to be mocking him. Hongu stopped him and told him not to mess with the crows, as they were raised by the squad leader. Bongan then asked why someone of Yongap's stature would even raise birds like that. Hongu informed him that Yongap was the deputy leader of the squad. Bongan, surprised, asked if Yongap really wasn't the leader of the squad. Hongu confirmed that he was indeed the deputy leader. Bongan then asked who the squad leader was. Just then, one of the soldiers shouted for everyone to halt. As they stopped, They wondered what was going on as all the crows were suddenly gathering on top of the palanquin. Yongap then told the men to dismount the palanquin. He came off his horse and went over to the squad leader and asked what the problem was. A woman in a white robe was seen sitting in the palanquin. As Bongan observed the squad leader coming out of the palanquin, he wondered if someone so small could really catch a tiger. This was the crow squad leader, Zhao. She pointed and said that there was a hoen. A hoen is a disaster caused by tigers. Yongap then instructed one of his men to have only the minimum number of people stand by and to arm everyone as they descended the mountain. As they made their way down, Bongan remarked that it didn't look like there was anything in that direction. Hongu told him to wait a bit, explaining that the squad leader was quite supernatural. Bongan asked if she was like some kind of Taoist. Hongu replied that it was something like that, revealing that the squad leader was a shaman possessed by the crow god. When they reached their destination, Yongap shouted for the crow squad to get into their battle formation, as there was a tiger. Seeing that there was an actual tiger, Bongan thought the squad leader was amazing. As they looked around, they saw that the villagers had been ravaged by the tiger. Yongap dismounted from his horse and told Zhao to wait there for a moment. She told him not to get hurt. Yongap then instructed the men to form up in encirclement formation 3. As the men moved, Bongan observed how they moved in unison. The soldiers got into the formation and Hongu explained that encirclement formation 3 is a basic formation for surrounding a tiger with arrows, allowing ordinary soldiers who cannot fight a tiger directly to provide support from a distance. They then fired arrows at the tiger, but it slashed the arrows and none of them hit it. Hongu told Bongan that when they fire arrows and immobilize the tiger hunter warrior makes the move. Yongap then dashed towards the tiger. As he slashed, the tiger jumped backwards and dodged. Seeing that the tiger was trying to flee, Yongap ordered the men to chase it. One of the soldiers shouted that they should protect the deputy squad leader, form formation 5, and tear it apart. As the men started to move, Bongan looked confused and said, "Not this again," asking someone to tell him what the hell he was supposed to do. The men left Bongan behind with the squad leader. Bongan considered running away, but Zhao told him that wasn't an option. This surprised Bongan, making him wonder if she had read his mind. She clarified that she hadn't read his mind. It was just all over his face. She then told him that he couldn't run away because if he did, he would die. He asked her what she meant, but they were interrupted by someone coughing up blood. Bongan ran over to the person and asked if they were all right. Seeing that the woman was still breathing, he wondered if the crow squad had a doctor. The woman then tried to tell him something. Meanwhile, Yongap was slashing at the tiger. One of the men managed to shoot the tiger with an arrow, and the soldier then shouted for the men to narrow the encirclement. Bongan then joined them and told Yongap that there were survivors. This surprised Yongap, and the soldiers paused, wondering what he was talking about. Bongan explained that at least 30 people had survived the hoen by following the wandering doctor who had been staying in the village into the forest. Yongap told Bongan that protecting survivors was a matter for later and their focus now was on hunting the tiger. Just then, the tiger dashed towards them to attack. Yongap was about to counter, but Bongan performed a lightning kick, pushing the tiger back. Bongan then said there was one more thing. Yongap asked what it was, and he said that the villagers were being chased by another tiger. Bongan told Yongap to catch the first tiger and then follow him, as he would go ahead and immobilize the other one. Yongap told him he couldn't do it alone, and Bongan asked why not. As Yongap clashed with the tiger, he told Bongan not to be proud just because he caught a nearly dead plum blossom tiger, and that this one was a full-grown tiger that had just finished its meal. Bongan asked what he should do then and if they were just going to let the villagers die. Yongap looked at him blankly. We now see Hongu and Bongan running together. Bongan thanked him for his help, and Hongu said that with his main skill, he wouldn't be helpful in the current situation anyway. Hongu then tried to give his sword to Bongan, saying he should take it since he hadn't received his weapon yet. Bongan appreciated the concern but declined, telling Hongu that sword dancing wasn't really his thing. Bongan then told Hongu that he would go first, and Hongu should follow him slowly. He was surprised to see Bongan's sudden burst of speed and wondered how he managed to do it. In a flashback, we see Bongan talking to the injured woman in the village. Bongan asked the woman if the tiger had really gone after the wandering doctor. The woman told him that the doctor had said there was a way to save everyone if they went into the forest. Bongan asked which way they had gone and promised to bring the doctor back. The woman, feeling it was too late for her, entrusted the children to him. As her life faded, she told him the children were young and their feet slow, and they might have fallen behind the group. She begged him to protect the children, seeing his uniform and realizing he was one of the soldiers who hunt tigers. She pleaded with him to stop the calamity. We now see the children running and one of them falls. While on the ground, the girl screams out for her brother, and the tiger appears above her, ready to kill. As the girl was about to be killed, Bongan appears, saying he almost made it too late. He then performed the Bongan mask dance, Act 1. The deer dance, lightning bolt, saving both children. We now get a flashback of Bongan's childhood. One of the children asked him if he really thought he could catch a deer. A girl told him that deer were the fastest in the mountains. Bongan confidently replied that he would show them that tigers are faster than deer, and he ran to catch a deer but failed. Seeing that he failed, the kids laughed, seeing that he completely missed. The girl laughed and reiterated that deer were the fastest in the mountains. Bongan told her to just wait. Someday he would show her that he could run much faster. Back in the present, Bongan continued running away from the tiger. When he stopped, he removed his mask and gasped for air, exhausted, and was glad he finally caught up. The children, curious, wondered who he was. Bongan smiled and asked them if they didn't like mask dances. The children stared at him silently. He asked if they didn't like mask dances and said if so he would show them a good one. Suddenly, someone approached from behind and asked who he was. It was the tiger. As it approached, it said it didn't think it had ever seen him in the village and asked where Bongan came from. Bongan was surprised to see that the tiger could talk. The tiger then asked if he was afraid of tigers that could speak. Bongan said no, mentioning that it reminded him of a certain dark figure he had seen before. The tiger responded, "Really? I find it a bit scary because you're too fast for a human." Bongan then asked the tiger if it wanted to run away, offering to let it off this time. He thought about how, at the moment he used the lightning bolt, he had hit his limit and fighting while protecting the kids was difficult. He then asked the boy which direction the adults had gone. The little boy told him that he didn't know, as the adults had just disappeared all of a sudden. Bongan asked what he meant, but the tiger interrupted them, angrily asking if they were ignoring him. The tiger attempted to eat one of the children, but Bongan managed to take the children away before the tiger could reach them. Bongan then shouted at the tiger, asking why it had to attack all of a sudden. The tiger said that Bongan was really fast and asked if he was the clown who killed the plum blossom tiger. The tiger then wondered aloud what it should do, as it hadn't expected the clown to show up there. Bongan wondered how the tiger even knew about that. The tiger then said that since Bongan was protecting the children, he would spare their lives in exchange for the bundle. Bongan wondered what bundle the tiger was talking about. He asked the boy what was inside, wondering if it was treasure or something valuable. The boy told him they were rice cakes, packed by his mother for them to eat while fleeing. Bongan was surprised to hear that they were only rice cakes. Bongan took the rice cakes and, as he placed them on the ground before the tiger, asked if it was really going to go back quietly if he gave him them. The tiger assured him it would and said he should give him the rice cakes in exchange for letting them go. Bongan, curious, asked the tiger if the rice cakes were really that delicious and wondered just how amazing they could be. He decided to try one, and as he looked at them, he was surprised. Meanwhile, in the darkness, some people observed the scene. One of them remarked that it looked like they were trying to make a deal with the tiger. Another said that if they were lucky, they might be able to save the children without shedding a drop of blood. Back with Bongan and the tiger, Bongan suddenly tried to kick the tiger away from the bundle. The tiger jumped back and asked what Bongan was doing. Bongan then told the tiger that they should pretend the deal never happened. Bongan thought about how the bundle contained ordinary patterned rice cakes made with a wooden mold. However, he noticed that the pattern stamped on the rice cake he picked was different from the others. Among the wooden molds used for making the cakes, there was a piece of a mask. He wondered why the tiger would be after it. He then realized that if the tiger was following a map, it must be the Four Winds Black Tiger. Bongan asked the tiger if it was sent by him. The tiger, surprised, acknowledged that Bongan was smarter than he looked, admitting that it had hoped to resolve this peacefully. The tiger dashed towards Bongan, saying it was truly regrettable. As it flashed, Bongan dodged. The people in the darkness, observing the scene, wondered what was happening since they were supposed to be making a deal. One of them remarked that the kids were more important and wondered if they should go save them. Another asked how they planned to save them, questioning if they wanted to fight the tiger. Someone else mentioned that stepping in would expose their position. Someone then said that they should save the children, surprising the others. A woman with a cloth over her face appeared and suggested that they should save the children, and told them that she had a plan. As the tiger kept attacking, Bongan turned to the kids and apologized, saying it looked like they were going to have to fight after all. He reassured them not to worry too much, explaining that he might not look like it, but he was a subordinate of the tiger hunter warrior. The boy asked if he was a kind of tiger hunter warrior soldier, and Bongan replied saying it was something like that. He told them to stay brave and that he would take care of the bundle. Bongan realized that the tiger was now going to come at them ready to kill, and thought it was honestly too much to fight while trying to protect the kids. He dashed off to attack the tiger, intending to get as far away from the kids as possible. As his hit connected, the tiger noted that Bongan seemed quite worn out and asked if he wasn't overdoing it. Bongan, with a touch of bravado, replied that the audience reaction was just too good for him to stop himself. The tiger then asked if Bongan was still worried about the kids, saying it would have no choice but to eat them first. Seeing that the tiger used blue flames, Bongan was surprised, as Sir Yongap did the same thing. The tiger dashed off intending to eat the children. Bongan called it a cheap bastard. Feeling a pain run through his leg, he wondered why it was happening now of all times. As the tiger approached the children, an arrow was fired, hitting the tiger. Seeing the arrow, everyone was surprised to see it as it came out of nowhere. A rope was then let down between them, surprising the children. Bongan thought this was great as he had a feeling something was off. The tiger looked up and realized that people were hiding up there. The masked woman then told the children to hurry and climb up. The other soldier was running, wondering how far Bongan had gone and noting that his footsteps definitely led this way. As he reached them, he observed the scene and wondered why there was a rope there. After the woman told the children to climb up, the tiger responded, saying it would climb up, but it was then shot in its paw. The woman then reassured the children not to worry about the tiger. The boy told his sister to hurry and grab the rope, starting to climb. Hongu, still observing, noticed that the villagers were taking refuge in the trees. He began to wonder what he should do and started to calculate his options. The tiger then got up and asked if they thought they could stop him, a tiger with these arrows, and asked if he looked like a joke to them. The woman shot at him again, but a blue arm came out of its mouth and caught the arrow, surprising everyone who saw this crazy feat. The tiger then called out to the kids, saying that if they gave him the rice cakes, he wouldn't eat them. The woman told the kids to snap out of it and focus on climbing, assuring them she would hold off the tiger. The tiger then dashed towards the kids, asking where they were off to. Bongan joined the fray and asked the tiger where it thought it was going, asserting that the show was not over, and hit it with a lightning strike. As Bongan jumped away, some blue arms came after him, but he managed to dodge them. The tiger told Bongan not to interfere and asked if he wanted to be eaten. Bongan wondered if the flames surrounding the tiger reduced the impact and wondered what exactly those blue flames could be. We now switch back to Sir Yongap, who has slain the tiger. A soldier ran to him, saying that he has worked hard and that he has sent a boat to escort leader Zhao. Yongap told him they don't have time for the ritual and that they need to catch the second tiger. The soldier tried to say something, but Yongap interrupted, explaining that these were not ordinary tigers and that if they delay any longer, there will be casualties. Back with Bongan, he has been caught by the blue arm. The tiger called him pathetic, saying he had gotten weaker than before. The tiger then said it was going to eat Bongan. Before it could, an arrow was fired between them by the woman. The arrow hit the blue arm, and Bongan managed to escape. He thanked the doctor, realizing that he almost died for real. He started to wonder what the tiger just did, noting that its power and speed were incomparable to before. Realizing the deer mask wouldn't work anymore, he decided to use the wild boar mask. As he reached for the mask, he realized it wasn't there. He then remembered that he didn't have his clothes on and, in his rush to save the kids, he had forgotten to bring another mask. Bongan quickly assessed his situation, thinking he needed to find another way. He then told the tiger that he surrenders and asked the tiger to give him a break just once. The tiger paused and looked at him. We switched to Sir Yongap and a soldier riding the horse with him. The soldier asked if this was the right way, as he was going so fast he couldn't even see the footprints. Yongap told him that he wasn't following the footsteps and instructed him to look at the trees. As the soldier observed the markings on the trees, Yongap informed him that it was Hongu. Meanwhile, Hongu, behind a tree, expressed concern about how he would lure the tiger over despite having his preparations set. Now we switch back to Bongan, who complained to the tiger, asking if it was going to keep up this merciless pursuit. The tiger rebuked him, advising him not to try and back out now and pointing out that he should have handed the rice cakes to him quietly. As Hongu wondered how to help, the woman observed the tiger still attacking Bongan. She raised her bow, and as the tiger slashed at Bongan, she took aim and let the arrow fly. The arrow traveled through the air, hitting the tiger in the eye. The tiger screamed in pain, catching everyone's attention. Taking advantage of the distraction, Hongu told Bongan to drive the tiger over to him. Bongan was surprised to see him there. As the tiger bled, it roared in anger, questioning how they dared to attack it with such pathetic arrows. Before it could finish speaking, Bongan kicked it in the face, shouting that he had finally found an opening and sent the tiger flying. As they observed the aftermath, the tiger was enraged and called them puny insects and vowed to kill them all. We then switch back to Yongap and the soldier. The soldier mentioned that he had almost forgotten about Hongu, acknowledging that although Hongu's martial arts skills might be terrible, his ability to grab a tiger by the ankle was exceptional, and he was said to be their squad's best trapper. As Hongu managed to catch the tiger, everyone was surprised, and Hongu declared the capture a success. He noted that it was the first time he had caught a tiger by himself, and this should buy them some time, even though it was risky. If he could hold out until the deputy leader arrived, they might have a chance. The tiger then mocked them, asking if they really thought they could capture him with such a rotten rope, before bursting through the restraint and charging at Hongu, slashing through him. We then get a flashback of Hongu's life. After catching a rabbit, he remarked that they would have its meat for dinner. His sister asked him about the pheasant, and he told her that he sold it at the market. She expressed a wish to try some pheasant meat sometime and asked why he was working so hard to save money. He asked her if Mansik had proposed, and she wondered how he knew. He explained that he didn't want to interfere in the marriage between two lovers, but since they were orphans, they needed money so they wouldn't be looked down upon. He reassured her not to worry as he made a lot of money from trapping and would ensure she had a proper wedding. Suddenly, Yongap entered through the door, surprising them. He said he had heard there was a skilled hunter who set traps well in this house. We now switch back to the present and see that the tiger managed to pierce Hongu's side. As he spat blood, Hongu begged Bongan to save him, but the tiger finished him off. As his body lay on the floor, the tiger asked why they were surprised and said, "Did you really think that you could catch a tiger with just a rope?" Bongan had a dark expression. The tiger continued, saying that the woman was the one who shot the arrow in his eye. He dashed towards her, but Bongan managed to push the tiger away before it reached her. As he did, Bongan told the woman to excuse him for a moment, and he landed on the ground with the tiger. One of the people in the tree then told her that they managed to save the children and asked what they should do now. She told him that after cutting the rope, they should climb the tree and head west. She said that if the tiger was completely blind, no matter how big it was, it wouldn't be able to follow. She fired another arrow, but the blue arm managed to catch it. The tiger asked if she really thought the same trick would work again, calling her stupid as he held down Bongan. The doctor then told the man to hurry up and go. Bongan was struggling as he wondered what the blue thing was, and the tiger told him he had no strength to fight, yet he kept chattering, telling him he talked too much. The tiger began to speak to them, asking why they had to interfere with just a few arrows and a rope. He said he had changed his mind and said that, rice cakes or not, he was going to devour everything. Yongap then arrived and slashed the tiger's leg. The tiger was shocked, and as Yongap rode away, the tiger's leg split in two, causing it to screech in pain. Bongan then took the chance to jump away from the tiger. Yongap told Bongan that it was as he thought and said that Bongan wasn't ready to hunt a real tiger yet. The tiger, incredulous, said this was madness, not believing a mere human could have done this to him. Yongap then asked Bongan where Hongu was. Before he could answer, the tiger dashed towards Yongap, saying that if it was about the other soldier, he had already killed him. Seeing that Yongap blocked his attack, the tiger wondered how he was so powerful. Yongap glanced over and saw Hongu's body, and realized that he had arrived too late. The tiger was shocked to see that Yongap could use the blue flame as well. Bongan was also surprised to see it again. The tiger jumped back, recognizing the danger. As Yongap slashed, he managed to cut a small piece of the tiger's leg. The tiger, shocked that it was cut while defending, started to wonder if Yongap was really human. Realizing he didn't stand a chance against such a monster, the tiger decided to run away. Bongan shouted at the tiger, telling it not to run away. The tiger looked back at him, wondering what he was saying since he was the one who had surrendered earlier, and said that retreat was also a strategy. The tiger thought about how it might be overpowered but was faster, so it would retreat for now. As Yongap looked in another direction, the tiger wondered what it was and suddenly got hit in the eye by an arrow. Seeing the arrow, Bongan wondered if it was from the doctor, but he realized the arrow was different. It was huge, like a spear. He wondered who could have shot such a large arrow. We then see one of the soldiers in a tree with a crossbow. This was the Crow Squad sniper, the crossbow archer Na Dongsu. The tiger screamed in pain and tried to pull the arrow out using the blue flame. Yongap looked at it blankly as the tiger called the humans despicable and shouted that it couldn't see anything. The tiger begged them to take the arrow out. Yongap approached and noted that the tiger had lost both its eyes. The tiger, shocked, admitted it had forgotten about Yongap due to the pain. As it considered escaping, it bumped into a tree. Yongap slowly approached, and the tiger began to plead, saying that killing his subordinate was a mistake. The tiger explained that he was just following orders to spare those who gave him rice cakes. But Bongan started to fight, and then the doctor shot him in the eye, making him angry. The tiger was about to say something about the death of Yongap's subordinate, but Yongap interrupted, declaring that his subordinate's death would be avenged by the tiger's own death. As the tiger begged him to wait, Yongap sliced off its head. Bongan looked at a carving of the mask piece, thinking it was close enough and wondering if he had carved it the same way. He realized he couldn't find the piece dipped in the rice cake, and this was the first time since he started collecting the mask pieces that he had found one with writing on it. Bongan then asked Yongap if they also performed rituals in the Tiger Hunter unit, as he thought the unit was solely for catching tigers. Yongap explained that people killed by tigers become malevolent spirits, and the souls that become malevolent spirits are captured by the tigers. The rituals are performed to prevent the dead from becoming malevolent spirits. Bongan asked if the malevolent spirits were the blue flame and inquired how Yongap was using the blue flame as well. Bongan pressed further, asking what exactly it was, but Yongap ignored him, put up his sword and pointed out that Bongan's leg was injured, noting how his posture collapsed when he turned. Bongan questioned why Yongap was changing the subject. Yongap advised him to see the doctor, as wounds inflicted by malevolent spirits tend to last a long time. As Bongan sat with the doctor, she rubbed medicine made from thistles on his leg, explaining it would help heal his wounds. Bongan looked at her bow, initially thinking she was only good at shooting arrows, but realized she was actually a doctor. He wondered why she was covering her face. She noticed his curiosity and asked if he thought there was a huge scar on her face, as he was looking intently. Bongan apologized, and she told him she just didn't want to be remembered much. She then informed him that the treatment was finished and he should remove the bandage once the bleeding stopped. She mentioned it had been a long time since she saw a mask dance and noted that the ending was a bit different. Bongan asked her if she just said, "Mask dance." Then a gust of wind blew the mask off her face. Upon seeing her face, Bongan exclaimed, "Miss you wa." Back at the graves, we see the children crying. Yongap pours some alcohol and places the container at one of the graves. We then get a flashback of the past, showing the tiger hunter soldiers gathered around a campfire. One of them mentioned that Hongu was all smiles and asked if he was happy that his sister got married. Hongu said, "Of course," and explained he joined the tiger hunter unit to get his sister married off. One of the soldiers teased him, asking what good it was for a guy who couldn't get married himself. Hongu replied that as her big brother, he was greatly worried about leaving her alone. But now that she had a family of her own, he had no more wishes. A soldier then asked if Hongu was going to leave the unit now that there was no need for money. Yongap turned to hear his response. Hongu replied, "Where would I go at this point? This is my home now." The men paused, and one shouted that he was really loyal and suggested they have another drink. They drank until they ran out of liquor. Back in the present, Yongap toasted with the container on the ground and took a drink. We now switch back to Bongan as he asked the doctor if she was Miss Yuwa. She was surprised and said he couldn't be, but he insisted, saying, "Yes, I'm Bongan." This surprised her. He reminded her that she had already seen his mask dance and they had even eaten potatoes together. Yongap then approached and asked if the treatment was done. Bongan wondered why he had to come now of all times. Yongap spoke to the doctor, asking where her bow came from and noting that she wasn't bad with it. She told him that it was her bow and explained that it was necessary for a doctor to protect themselves while working. Yongap was surprised to hear about a doctor who shoots arrows and asked if Bongan knew her. She quickly shut it down, telling him that they didn't know each other. Yongap said, "Is that so?" and asked if she ever considered joining the tiger hunter unit, mentioning that they had a vacancy for a doctor. She responded that she had just seen a tiger hunter soldier get killed by a tiger that day and asked if he was inviting her to jump into death. Yongap then told her that she could just help with the treatment, as they had more injured people, and assured her he paid generously. She got up, asked where the injured people were, and went off to treat them, leaving Bongan behind with Yongap. As the tiger hunt concluded, they buried those who died under heavy stones, and those who survived moved on, each to their own path, stepping forward toward a new beginning. As the soldiers marched, one of them looked back, saying, "Good job, everyone. We're finally home." This was the Tiger Hunter Unit headquarters. Seeing the building, Bongan was impressed and thought that after a while he might be able to stretch his legs and sleep. We now see Bongan tied to a chair, with Yongap pointing a sword at him, while surrounded by a group of people.